Hey, Mark, I got a question for you. Did you know that most people have at least one pro in their life?
Rick, what do you mean? Are you talking about you? I don't think I have a pro in my life if it's not you.
Well, almost everyone has a pro, whether they realize it or not. And I'm not talking about a professional football player, musician, or entertainer, but I can guarantee you that you have one pro in your life.
Okay, if it's not you or an athlete or a star, then what pro is in my life? Because I'm not seeing it.
Well, that's the point. Most people don't understand the pro in their life. Everyone either has procrastination or productivity working in their day-to-day.
Wow, do you punny much, Rick?
You know, sometimes I just can't help it. But most people are either working towards a goal, being productive, or they're wasting time on Facebook, watching TV, or sometimes overanalyzing their options of what they want to do next. That's procrastination. So which pro is more prevalent in your life right now?
You know what? It depends kind of on the day. Some days I'm productive, some days I'm procrastinating.
Exactly. That's why I'm excited about our topic today. If not now, then when?
What's that even mean, Rick?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Mark. We're going to talk about the importance of taking action, the cost of procrastination, and how to get started.
Welcome to the Creating Health and Wealth for Retirement podcast. This is for those who don't just want to retire, but want to live a fun, travel-filled, strong, and decades-long retirement. Your hosts are Rick Collins, the financial expert who will help you build the wealth you need to retire with confidence, freedom, and zero stress. And Mark Dulaney, also known as the Health Millionaire, who will help you build the health, strength, and mobility to actually enjoy that wealth. Because let's be real, what's the point of financial security if you don't have the health to enjoy it? This podcast is for you if you are about 50 and up, have worked hard, saved smartly, sacrificed, invested wisely, and now want to lock in your future with the health and wealth you need for a great retirement. So, listen up, because the best years of your life should be ahead of you, not behind you. In every episode, Mark and Rick break down the health, fitness, and financial strategies you need to create a thriving retirement. One that's strong, mobile, financially secure, and most of all, fun.
Well, hello there and welcome. It is a beautiful day somewhere, but not where I live in Rochester, New York. My name is Mark Dulaney. I want to help you create health for a great retirement. His name is Rick Collins, and he wants to help you create wealth so you can enjoy that retirement. Rick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mark. Listeners, welcome to our podcast. This is the Creating Health and Wealth for Retirement podcast. Mark and I talk about important things that can really impact your life that sometimes you may not even think about. So we're excited to be here today.
And so Rick has an exciting idea today, and as you listen to the idea, I want you to understand, we're not just here to talk about diet, exercise, saving, and finances. We're here to try to change your mindset so you prepare to do those things for retirement. Rick, what's your idea for today?
I want to talk about, there's a quote that some people attribute to the Bible, but it's, if not now, then when? And actually, it goes back to the first century BC. A guy named Hillel the Elder actually wrote this. And the way it goes is, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? And being only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? And it really emphasizes the importance of taking action, being proactive, and not putting off what you need to do today until tomorrow.
Great research, first of all, Rick. That's the kind of research they don't get on most podcasts. So I'm excited to hear you did all that work to get there. So kick off the conversation, Rick. If not now, when? Tell us more.
We often get stuck in what I call analysis paralysis. We know we want something different or something better. And for example, in my business, I look at marketing and sales and different products, and I keep looking for the perfect thing to start doing to make something better in my life. And I never take action. I never get in the game. I'm on the sidelines looking over my options. Other times people just sit on the screen and waste hours every day scrolling Facebook or watching television. And the sad truth is we have a finite number of days on this earth. And nobody knows what that number is for each person. But a day wasted in procrastination is just holding people back from what they want to accomplish.
I wonder, do people actually realize that they're procrastinating in many cases? Like, so it's interesting as you were talking and as you talked about procrastination versus productivity, and they're both pros, that procrastination sometimes comes about by being distracted. And so one of the best ways, I think, and you're going to tell us more, I'm sure, to avoid procrastination is to avoid distractions like the ones you mentioned, social media, television, and all sorts of stuff like that. So if I want to take that first step, Rick, if I want to, if not now, when, what's the best advice you give someone to get started in that direction?
Really, the first thing I would tell people to do is know where you are. Find out. I deal with finances, personal finance, and retirement planning. Is take a look at what your income is, what your outflow is, and what your savings account is. It's like going to the doctor to get blood work before you start on a health regimen. You got to know where you're starting from. And most people don't even want to know that because they like living in that dream world of, well, the check didn't bounce. I must have, well, I'm dating myself. If the check didn't bounce or the debit card didn't get declined, then I must have money. I'm okay. And a lot of people live in ignorance, blissful ignorance, but it's still ignorance.
So Rick, I've known you now for 5 years and I've agreed with everything you said, but I want to give you maybe a counter or something that people may do first. I hope that's okay.
Sure.
And that is, I think that we have to have a reason to want to change. And so our podcast is called Creating Health Wealth for Retirement. I think the first step should be decide what you really want. Because if you don't have something you're moving towards, then everything seems labored. I think the biggest difference between procrastination and productivity is knowing where you want to go and having a reason to want to go there. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't disagree, Mark. It is important to have a picture of what I want my life to look like. You and I have gone through some training with a really good motivational guru. Not going to name any names, but his big thing was, what do you want your life to look like 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now? And so having that picture of what I want for me, whether it's health, relationships, finances, time freedom, what do I want my retirement to look like 20 years from now? That's really important because it does highlight a gap of, this is what I want and this is where I am. How do I get from point A to point B? And that will get people moving, at least thinking about what they need to change.
So this is a podcast and people can't see my smile on my face. I think this is the first time Rick has ever agreed with me on anything. So I'm so excited today that he actually changed. So if step one is decide what you want, you got to have a vision of the future. And I'm not sure if this is biblical or not, but they say without a vision, the people will perish. And so what is it for your life? Because if you don't have something you're working towards, then television shows, social media programs, and all those things are so much fun. Spending money, eating everything in sight, all that stuff is fun because you got nothing to sacrifice for. Then I think, Rick, your advice on knowing where you are today, so you know the journey you have in front of you, is a great one. What would be idea number 3 then, Rick?
Well, first of all, Proverbs 29:18 is where there is no vision, the people perish. So good on you for remembering that.
Good on you for knowing a specific chapter and verse.
Google is my friend. Figure out what you want, set the goals, figure out where you are, and then you definitely, step 3 is taking action, whether it's setting aside a monthly savings goal or picking or analyzing where you're spending money, where it's going, what you can pare back or stop doing that's wasting money. Being honest with yourself about these are the 5 places I waste money every day. Why do I need all 5? Really rationalizing what I'm doing. It really is about awareness of what I'm doing now that I should stop or change, and what I should do to the good things I should do to increase those activities.
So as I'm hearing you speak, Rick, I'm reminded of a thing that says, I'm at point A. I want to get to point B. The best way to get to point B is to understand taking the next step, whatever that may be. The next step is always the most important step of a journey. So instead of focusing in on the whole journey, just focus on that next step. And you just gave them a great one. Know where you are, and then pick one thing and start working on that so you don't get overwhelmed. Then do the second thing and make it a step. The most important step of every journey is always the next step.
Yeah, I saw a couple of quotes that I like to remind myself of every so often. Is Zig Ziglar said, "You don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great."
That is
And
next.
Walt Disney says the way to get started is to quit talking and start doing. So it really is getting moving with something.
So we've learned that everyone's a pro. The question is, are we a productive person or are we a procrastination person? And I really think that at some point there is one step that we all need to take, and that is to really make a decision to change. If we don't make that committed decision to change, then we will take a step and we'll take two steps backwards, or we'll procrastinate that step. But the key to being the kind of pro we want to be is to make a committed decision to change.
Yeah, that's where that future vision really comes into play, because if the gap is big enough from where I am versus where I want to be, I will be more likely to find the motivation to make that decision to do something differently. But if it's not a clear gap, or the future self is not really clearly defined and crystallized in my brain, it's easier to minimize, oh, my life today is not that bad, I can always start later. And you stay stuck in the comfort of where you are versus taking action and moving towards where you want to be.
So being 64 years old, I really wish I could go back and talk to my 30-year-old self and say, don't buy that Mercedes, don't buy this, don't do that with your money. Don't get into that. Don't marry that woman. Definitely, I would say that one about my first wife. Don't do this, don't do that, and instead do this. So I want to run an idea by you, and that is, what if we look to retirement and decided, this is what I want for retirement. This is my income. This is my travel plans. This is where I want to live. And then focus back to today to see, what do I need to do to bridge that gap? I think that will be an excellent fourth step. Looking to the future, deciding what you want, and then coming back and then deciding how to get there.
Yeah, knowing what I want my life to be like. I'm 10 years behind you, but knowing what I want my life to be like when I'm in my 60s or 70s helps me back into what I need to do along the way. And, monetarily wise, most people need $1 million. That's the kind of rule of thumb. That'll last you 25 years if you take out 4% a year, which is theoretically keeps your money from running out. But most people don't have $1 million, and most people have no clue of how to get to $1 million, and to be able to travel and have choices. And I've been to a Medicaid nursing home and I've been to a private nursing home. I would much rather be in a private nursing home if I have to be in one. Because people don't plan ahead, they wind up in a Medicaid nursing home, which is not pleasant. The smells, the facilities, the people you have to share rooms with. Ugh. But anyway.
Not to mention the people that work there. They're not the most pleasant people also.
They are not happy with their lot in life either, I can almost guarantee. But, backing into, what do I want $1 million? And if I'm not halfway there by the time I'm 55, then I got to do something different. And that's where I come in and help people figure out what the next step is. Where do you start? What can you do to get rid of the taxes, get out of debt? Because debt just holds you back from building that savings, because you're paying interest on stuff that you bought years ago. But it's really having a coach to talk with people about what's important to you, where do you want to go next, what are your options, and help. Sometimes I show people what options are that they don't even know about, just because they've never been educated. So a lot of my stuff is educating people on the risks of their retirement and then how they can mitigate those risks. What about you?
So I think that someone has to have a vision of their body. I mean, what good is the $1 million you might help them create if they don't have the health to actually get out and travel? It is great to be in a nicer nursing home, but it's better to be on a boat or on a plane or on a vacation home or visiting the grandchildren because you're healthy, strong, and mobile enough to do those things. And so, again, that's a charting back. If I want to walk when I'm 70, I need to be walking vigorously today so that my legs stay strong, so that I have the balance. If I don't want to be attached to a blood monitor or prescription drugs, I need to blood monitor. You know what I mean? You're hooked up to a respirator or something. You get what I'm
I
saying.
wear a blood monitor. We'll get into that in a second. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah. Blood monitor was a poor choice. If you don't want to be connected to medical devices and tethered to your doctor, then take care of yourself today so you have the health to be able to be active in retirement. So right now, because I watch a lot of sports, there are more and more every day. It seems like there's a new ED medication company. So if you're a man out there and your dream in life is to take pills to be able to be intimate, by all means, don't take care of yourself. And I know other problems happen, but why not take care of yourself and avoid that so you don't need a pill to make love to your woman? And I'm sure, ladies, there's same kind of commercials that you see on the social media that you watch. But ultimately, the better you take care of yourself, the less money it's going to cost you in the future and the more fun you can have in the future.
yeah, you hit home with me especially you mentioned about walking. When I was in my mid 40s, my back started causing problems because I was overweight. I wasn't exercising. I didn't have a strong core, and my lower back started hurting, and it wound up over the course of 5 years, 6 years now. I've had 4 back surgeries and a spinal fusion because I didn't have a strong core, and my L4, L5 vertebrae just fell apart. I'm also diabetic. You mentioned blood monitor. I'm type 1 diabetic, and I became diabetic at 19 because of a car wreck. But I will tell you that having a blood monitor, I have a continuous glucose monitor that I wear, and I also have an insulin pump that I wear. Being attached to medical devices is no fun. I mean, it's something I've learned to live with over the last 30 years, but oftentimes I resent having to be hooked up to stuff. And although it's keeping me alive and keeping me healthier, it does cause, it's always an annoyance. Like when my blood sugar crashes and I have to leave a movie to go grab something to eat because I'll pass out, or if my blood sugar's high and I have to continuously go to the bathroom because I'm not watching my blood sugar. It's really irritating to be in that position. I would much rather have a healthy life without all the medical enhancements and the medical and the prescription medicines I take. And if I could do differently over the years, I would definitely have strengthened my core, walked more, kept my back healthier, kept my weight down so I didn't screw my back up. And my diabetes would be better as well.
So I think this is interesting as we talk about health and wealth for retirement. And that is that I'm not talking about your doctor, your nurses who take care of you. I'm not talking about the nurses' aides. However, when I look at television and I look at all of the different commercials for pharmaceuticals, and I look around at all the buildings they're building that have health on it, whether it's a nurses, whether it's an elder care facility, a cancer society facility, I believe that you, Rick, especially at your age, and people in their 50s, we are the retirement plans for the people who build those buildings. We're the retirement plans for all the pharmaceutical companies on the planet. They want to sell us these pills. They want us attached to these things. We're also the retirement plan for people who work for, quote, elder care, for people who need government support. Your health and your wealth makes you independent. When you lose your health and you have no wealth, you become dependent on systems, and those people then become wealthy. And so I want that to piss you off if you're listening to me, because I want you to want to do better. I hate the fact that I think that I'm just somebody else's retirement plan. I need to invest that time and energy on my own retirement plan. And Rick, I know you feel the same way.
Yeah, thousands of dollars a month gets spent on treating symptoms of mostly preventable diseases and conditions. If we took better care of ourselves, ate better, exercised more, the prescription industry wouldn't be quite as profitable as it is. And I will tell you that your point about that also translates to money. There are whole government bureaucracies designed to take care of people who didn't take care of themselves and didn't plan ahead. And so therefore they're relying on the government, their government assistance and social programs as that safety net, but millions or if not billions of dollars gets wasted on just the bureaucracy of that taking place. So imagine if everybody was owning their health, their financial well-being, where that tax money could go to do much better, more important, beneficial things for everybody.
Or how they could use that money to make their life what they want it to be. So we had a little bit of a technical glitch, which you probably wouldn't know if I didn't tell you, but if this seems abrupt, Rick was just finishing up saying about how the money that gets spent on healthcare could be used for your retirement. And we just want to say that Rick summarized the show for us real quick so that we can bring this one to an end and preview next week.
It's really important to get started, figure out what you want, where you are, and then how to get from where you are to where you want to be. Getting started, the step one is to do something, and step two is keep going and doing more things. But I want to quote one quote from Dolly Parton. Says, if you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one. And you can do that starting today.
And so we talked about a number of things I think can help you on your journey. Number one, decide where you want to go. Number two, see where you are. And number three, take that first step and think about it. Do you want all your life's work to make somebody else wealthy, or do you want it to make you wealthy? And it starts with being healthy and investing money for your health. Rick, we got an interesting topic for next week. Any last thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, it's a balance between health and wealth. If you're not healthy, all the money in the world won't matter. If you don't have the money to enjoy your healthy life, it's going to be miserable. So find a way. We can help you find a way to get both health and wealth for retirement so you can have a better future.
And so if you haven't listened to last episode, we talked about the idea of whether or not one of the reasons you've not gotten started is because you're living out of fear. And we wanted you to live out of love. So go back and listen to that episode about living out of love. It makes you more proactive. It helps you get started. This week, we talked about the idea of if not now,
when?
Then when. And now next week, we want to talk about once you get started, the power of consistency. Rick, any initial thoughts on the power of consistency?
It's just like compound interest. A little bit over time goes a long way. So keep the momentum going, the inertia going, and you'll be amazed to where that can take you.
And so that brings us to the end of another episode. Now, we are in the process of buying and creating a website for our podcast, and so you can learn more about us. And that's going to be at creatinghealthandwealthforretirement.com. creatinghealthandwealthforretirement.com. And it's the word and because they don't allow punctuations in domain names. Rick, are you excited about that?
I'm looking forward to establishing our online kingdom.
Yes. And so with that, Rick, any last thoughts and say goodbye?
Everybody, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for coming and joining us today. If you want to reach out to me, go to bankingforyourself.com, and Mark will put the show notes where you can find us, or you can also find us on our website, on our new website.
And my last thoughts are, if not now, when? Seriously.
Get started.
How old are you? Not you, Rick. How old are you listening? You've waited this long. If you don't start now, why do you not think it'll be 5-10 years before you actually get started? So with that being said, creating health and wealth for retirement.com. I can't wait to see what we create together. Say goodbye, Rick.
Everybody have a great day. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
See you next week, everybody.